Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as IvyWinter. Thanks for joining me for another Wedding Wednesday. Today I'm going to show a couple of new things that came in, but otherwise I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about a specific topic, something that I am dealing with, and I'm sure a lot of people out there who are planning weddings or who have gotten married have dealt with. Figuring out how to honor loved ones who have passed away, especially if it is a parent, but even if it's another loved one that you were very close with, which is something that Peter and I have been discussing for a long time of how we want to do this. So I want to talk a little bit more about what our plans are. But first, before we get into that, let's start with some like happier stuff. So tomorrow I'm getting my hair and makeup trial. They are coming here to do it, which is really, really exciting. Plus for laziness, because I don't have to go anywhere. And I'm so ill prepared. They want me to have like photos of makeup and hairstyles that I'm interested in. Obviously my hair, there isn't much of it. This is long for me. I need to actually get a haircut in like a couple of weeks. So that is my biggest struggle right now. I kind of told them that. I let them know that I feel a little weird because I have short hair and I'm not sure what can be done. But they are the experts, so I'm sure that they can help me. But I still haven't put together like any makeup ideas of like what I would want. So yeah, I really should get on that because they're coming tomorrow morning. And then I'm planning on filming next week's Wedding Wednesday tomorrow because I want to film with like the makeup on and stuff. We'll see how good it looks. We also got a couple of things in, which is really exciting. The first thing is a couple of prints. So we got a couple of things printed out on Shutterfly for pretty cheap. They are going to be framed and put in a couple of different places during the wedding. So this is going to be a bar sign that we have. Which is really cute because, you know, we're going with the whole 1920s theme. And then, speaking of the topic of today, this is going to be at the memorial table, kind of just framed and set up with some photos of people, which I've talked about before when I showed you guys the frames that I bought. So we're gonna frame these. These are like on a thick card stock. It was really cheap, and then they also have like a coupon code, so I paid like, I don't know, a few bucks for these plus shipping. It was just easier to do it that way. I mean, I guess we could have went to Kinko's or something, but again, I'm lazy. So it's just like cardstock. It doesn't have to be any fancier than that because it's gonna be in a frame. Yeah, so I'm really excited to have this done. I need to frame them. And then we also finally got our cake toppers in it. I'm so excited, they're so adorable. Are you ready? Because this is like cuteness overload. Look at these guys, oh my God. I love them so much. So they were handmade on Etsy, this awesome seller. I will definitely put a link down below. Her name is Esther, she's from the Netherlands. So it took a little while to get to us, but not that long actually. Only about two and a half weeks after she shipped it. And she was really communicative about what colors we wanted and the styles we wanted. So we got our little monkeys. They're adorable. I love them. I mean, they've got such great detail, the little tails and her little thing. And then they're in our colors, which is the purple and gray. And they're made of clay, and they're actually pretty hefty. Like, they're really nicely made. So I'm so excited. I'm literally excited about these two dumb little things that are gonna be on top of our cake, but they're so cute. Yeah, so they're adorable. They make me very happy. And what I love about them is, you know, obviously we can take them off the cake afterwards and keep them somewhere. Maybe when we frame like a wedding photo, we'll keep them by the wedding photo. So I absolutely adore them. They're very, very well made. So I highly recommend this seller. Again, I will put her link down below if that's something that you're interested in. She does all different kinds of designs and animals and custom, you know, things. So now we're gonna get a little serious for a sec, but not too serious because I don't want to be a downer or anything. So as a lot of you guys know, and I've mentioned before, my mom passed away 10 years ago. If you want to hear more about that story, I will make sure to link the video somewhere for you, whether in the description or whatever, so you can learn more about that, because I do have a whole video about, you know, how she passed away and how I dealt with it and all of that. My dad is coming and he's bringing his wife. Her name is Nora. I don't really consider her a stepmom. I mean, they got married, I don't know, about 4 years ago now. I can't even remember what year it was. I was already an adult, didn't really feel like I needed a new motherly figure to step in. We didn't really get along at first, or at least I didn't really like her, you know. That's a whole other thing of like, I had my own resentments and my feelings about my mom not being around. We definitely get along a lot better now, but we are not close by any means. I think she's really sweet. It's hard for us to communicate. She is Colombian and so speaks Spanish first and has little English speaking abilities, so that's been a little bit tough for us, but for the most part we get along now. Things are great. I mean, she's coming, whatever, but you know, we're trying to juggle this idea of how to honor my mom without making Nora feel weird, and also without making the wedding turn into a memorial. And I think that's really what the fine line here is you want to talk about these certain people who are really important to you, but you don't want your wedding to become really morose and sad. So we've got a couple of things going on. We have the memorial table, which is not going to be like called out in any sort of way. It's going to be during cocktail hour. There's actually some furniture already in this whole venue. I think I've talked about it before. I'll put a picture somewhere here of the room that we're thinking of putting it in. There's already a table to put photos on. That's it. Sign. My mom's picture, my grandpa's picture, Peter's two grandparents, Peter's two grandpas and his grandmother, because one of his grandmothers is still alive. That's probably it. Those are like the closest people who have passed who would have been there. We want to have that. We think it's important, but you know, again, that's going to be like somebody will stop and look at it, but there's no like calling of attention to it. It'll just be there. So that was important so that we could definitely kind of honor everybody. Like, he was very, very close with his grandparents. They passed away during our relationship. So, you know, we definitely want to have that in there. And then how far I'm going to honor my mom, again, it's, you don't want to make it awkward. You don't want to make it all about the fact that this person isn't there. But at the same time, everyone knows this person isn't there. Like, people bring it up to me all the time. Like, how are you doing with wedding planning without your mom? Like, you know, you go dress shopping with your mom generally, or like whatever. So like, people know it's there. It's kind of hanging over the whole thing. And instead of just having this elephant in the room, I want to talk about it. My mom was an amazing woman, and she was there for 20 years of my life, and she would have been here today so excited about me marrying Peter. And I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about the fact that I know she would have loved him, and I want to talk about the fact that she has raised me to be the person that I am today, that allows me to love Peter in this way that I can, you know? And the relationship that my parents had was really a solid foundation for what I know a relationship should be. And that's a huge part of my marriage, and what's just how I see my future. So not talking about it would be too weird. I think everyone would be like, that's a lot, but again, you don't want to talk about it too much. So what I am going to be doing is saving a seat for her. Again, not calling it out. My dad knows about this because he's going to have to sit next to that empty seat, and so I wanted to make sure he was okay with that. I definitely don't want him to be upset by the idea of that being there. So I was totally fine with like putting a kibosh on it if he didn't want to do it, but he thought it was great. So we are literally no photo or anything on the seat. We are just getting a bouquet of carnations from my florist. Carnations was my mother's favorite flower. Just putting that on a seat. Literally, that's it. It's gonna be up at the front. Most people aren't even gonna see it. So again, it won't be like a big calling out to it, but it's important to me that I know that she would have been there. And for some people, I think that that would be a little too sad to stand up at the front and to see this empty seat. But for me, it would be reassurance of, I know she would have been there if she could have been. I think that's a totally personal opinion. If that's something that you can't handle, if maybe somebody passed away really recently to your wedding, maybe I wouldn't do that, because that might elicit an emotion that you don't want to have when you're standing up in front of everybody. But because it's been 10 years, I know I can handle it, and I know that I want it. And then another thing that we are gonna do is my officiant will talk a little bit about her. So my officiant, I talked about this before, she did my best friend's wedding. And unfortunately, about a year and a half before my best friend's wedding, her brother passed away of cancer. And she was very close to her brother, and he was a great guy, and he loved her girlfriend at the time, now wife. Would have wanted to be there, you know? And so the officiant, same officiant that I'm working with, spoke about him for maybe 2 minutes. She brought him up, she talked about, you know, how happy it would have been for her, how much she influenced my best friend's life and all of that. So it was like 2 minutes, and it was sad, but it was like, it was right, you know, like it felt right bringing it up. So I told my officiant, yes, you can bring her up. I don't want to harp too long on it because, again, we don't want to make this a memorial. So what I did was I gave her some info on my mom, stuff about the kind of person that she was, about, you know, how silly she was, or, you know, what she would think of Peter. Things that, like, not necessarily are all going to be in the ceremony, but so she can get a better understanding of her, because she's never met her, but she needs to write something about her, right? And so not everything will be included, but it's a way to help her understand who my mother was and how she relates to everything that's happening. And then the thing is, she writes the ceremony, but we get to see it about a month or two ahead of time, so we can actually make suggestions or edits. So if she writes something and I'm like, man, this is really morbid, like this is too much or whatever, I can say that and we can cut back on it. So it's not like we're just gonna walk in and then the ceremony is gonna be like something we weren't expecting. Like, we do get a say and we do get to see how it's gonna roll out. So I'm not super concerned with it being like overly sad or anything like that. I really, really love the way she handled my friend's brother, and so I want something similar. Again, total personal opinion. Some people just would rather not bring it up at all, and I totally understand, but for me, like, it seems silly not to. She was my mom. Too big a part of my life not to. So that's pretty much it. That's just what my thinking is and what my plan is for right now for that. If you guys are dealing with the same sort of decision making here, I would love to hear what you plan on doing, what you have done in the past. If maybe you've been to a wedding that honored somebody that did it in a really interesting way, let me know. I would love to know in the comments below. If you like this video, please like it. If you want to see more, please subscribe. I make Wedding Wednesday videos almost every Wednesday, depending on what's going on. And yeah, I would just love to see you guys and hang out with you more. Thanks so much for watching another video. I always appreciate it, and have a great rest of the day. Bye.